Well, November is here. It's the second day of November. Another Wednesday, another Wellness Wednesday. Yours truly, Joe Dupree, Edward J. Brown in the building. How you doing, family? Tell a friend to tell a friend. It's about to go down once again because your mental health matters, and a healthy you is a better you. My brother.
What's going on, man?
Still recovering from this past weekend, but no complaints. Guess what? I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah. And listen, I had to say, if I'm a Jaguar when I stand, I got to be a Jaguar when they fall. So
That's it.
I stand here with you with the same pride I had before the game. Got a few questions, but still got the same pride. I bleed blue and gold, and unfortunately, I bled a lot this weekend.
You know? Oh yeah. There was a lot of bleeding. There was a lot of bleeding going on, but we're still in the hunt. So guess what? It's not over until the fat lady sings. She may have packed her bags. She may have tried to get an Uber and make her way to the airport, but she ain't got behind the microphone and hummed the tune yet. So we still are in the hunt.
Well, that's one of the things that say on any given Saturday. We can talk about football for a second. I think that first quarter probably was the best I've seen the Jags defensively play this year. And what happened in the second quarter was they made adjustments. We didn't.
Correct.
We did not make adjustments.
And listen, that is a wonderful thing to talk about because in life can throw you curveballs that can knock you off track. And the question is, will you make the proper adjustments to either win at life or get defeated by the circumstances? Correct. Ladies and gentlemen, my brother, Edward J. Brown. Let's go.
Well, as we talking about this last weekend with the Southern University Jaguars playing Jackson State, it brought some things to the limelight that, again, I'm going through so much these past 24, 48 hours that I actually had thought about canceling the podcast for today. And I did not for this reason. I wanted to sit down, and I think it's a topic that we could probably talk about for 2 hours, let alone an hour. And that is how we treat one another in certain circumstances. So I'm going to take about 5 or 10 minutes to paint a picture for you of what I actually went through this weekend at Jackson State. And then we can talk about how we are with one another as Black people, and how can we expect other races of people to treat us the way we deserve to be treated when we don't practice it with each other. Everybody who's familiar with the concept of HBCU football understands there is a level of trash talking that is synonymous with being a member of a HBCU.
Correct.
For us, being a little boy, my first encounter with HBCU trash talking was when I was about 8 or 9 years old. My family packed up and we went to the Bayou Classic. And I got to see Southern University in Grambling for the first time. Now, for you young folks, we ain't talking about the Grambling you're talking about now. We're talking about the Grambling for which the reputation was established.
Correct.
They were not, and I'm sorry to say
the coach Eddie Robinson, Grambling State University.
Even the marching band was on another level. And I just believe that as a result, they are still riding that reputation, but they need to pick it up. But that's just a Southernite talking about Grambling. So anyway, and it's been an ongoing thing for me in my whole life. I have a gift for gab. I have a gift for trash talking. So much so that I'm known from one stadium with a swag to the other end. Unfortunately, for not, I'm just known for that. Well, let me paint a picture for you. We get to the stadium. It's about 2 hours before kickoff because we knew this was going to be a packed game. When we walk up the bleachers and we pick the row we're going to sit on, I hear the brother say, "Oh, yeah, come on down here because we're going to talk some trash." And I look at the 8 people I'm with, and they like, "We know you. Go ahead on." I slid down by that brother, and it started. This brother maybe was somewhere around early 40s, late 30s, maybe. No, about early 40s. Next to him was a brother and his wife who maybe was around 50 or so. So the two of them and I began to trash talk. And it was the type of trash talking that I actually love because it's people that love and are passionate about their school. And I get to be passionate about my school, and we can talk as much trash as we want to talk. That's 2 players. Enter the third player who sat right behind me. And immediately when he opened his mouth, I felt a different energy. It was an energy of anger. Now, for me to be doing this podcast today, because as I just said, even there's times where I have a lot going on, this must be important for me to come. So here comes his energy. Yeah, we're going to treat you the same way y'all treat us when we come to Baton Rouge. So I'm like, And it was asked, well, what do you mean? Well, everybody with Mississippi plates, they bust out the windows and they this now. I was not going to deny it because I had actually heard on certain occasions when people from different schools come, their vehicles get vandalized. I'd heard of that. So I said, well, listen, we hope nobody car get vandalized, and I apologize for anything that's going on when you come to Baton Rouge. Oh, man, nobody don't want to hear that. Okay. Again, there's an energy of anger. So as the day progresses, because we got 2 hours before kickoff, the bands come and he start talking about Southern is trash and their band is this, so that's all part of trash talking. I'm not worrying about that. So I'm trash talking back and he's like, everybody know the boom. Don't nobody know who Southern is. I said, well, Barack Obama knew who Southern was. He had them for his inauguration. Well, we was there. I said, no, y'all wasn't at that one. I said, y'all might have been at the Trump inauguration. So everybody kind of laughed it off. And he was like, well, we'll take that. We'll go to Trump. That'll be fine. And at that point, I said to myself, oh, yeah, this brother is really, I said, he's really angry. So as the game is about to begin, the 2 guys that I started, we're having so much fun just, talking about each other's schools and the football teams and so on and so forth. The game finally begins. And there was a point in the game, in the beginning of the game, where the 2 bands were playing against each other at the same time. This dude stood up and started saying, shut that shit up. And I was like, well, technically, we can't even hear JSU because Southern is drowning them out. Just because you're loud don't mean you're good. And, I said, well, that's true. And, so we're going on and on and on. Okay. Enter the 4th and the 5th persons, which next to him behind me is an old lady. Let me not say old lady. A lady of
elderly.
A lady of distinction.
Okay.
A lady of distinction, maybe 65-ish. Okay. And her maybe 28, 29-year-old daughter. And the whole while we're talking trash, the 2 guys and Mr. Angry Man, all of a sudden, I see the young girls are just shut up. You ought to just shut up. So I never really paid her any mind, but the people in my party were kind of like looking like, okay, all right. I could give you a whole long story, but I want us to talk about this, so I'm going to get to the point. It comes a time where the guys behind me trash talking is so angry. I'm like, man, what is, what? With all of this energy, I'm going to put an end to all of this. And this is what I said, so pay attention.
Okay.
I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start asking for degrees. And you can only talk trash if you got a degree. Okay? I said, because everybody on this row have a degree.
Come on, that part.
All right? The old lady looks at me and she says, yeah, you might have all the degrees, but what you doing with it? Okay? So in the middle of, and I'll take the feedback on whether or not I was out of line or not, because I'm willing to take my shots if the people watching this podcast feel, and my brother Joe will of course give me his opinion.
I will. I want
She
you
says,
to finish.
yeah, you might have those degrees, but what you doing with it? I said, well, ma'am, I have a couple of counseling agencies. You need a job? And OMG. When I tell you all hell broke loose, literally all hell broke loose. The little girl started screaming and hollering, and she started cussing me, fuck you, and throwing up the middle finger and trying to like come across the aisle like she trying to come at me.
Oh,
And I'm sitting here and I'm like, whoa, hold on a minute. And the guy behind me, Mr. Angry Man, is like, yeah, you call me stupid. Ain't nobody stupid. I said, whoa. I said, nobody ever called you stupid. I never called either one of you out of your name. I said, now, you can cuss me. You can call me all kind of F you, this and that. And, I said, you have no class. I'm done talking to you. I'm done talking to you. I said, we can no longer talk. That's what I told her. I said, you have no class. Fuck you. I said, I understand all of that. You have no class, and I'm done talking to you. So as I'm speaking to her, because they're making such a scene, people are turning around and they're looking. Mr. Angry Man behind me says, yeah, because we talking to this asshole right here. So I looked at him. I said, okay, now you done called me out of my name. I said, I never called you stupid. I said, but if I call you stupid, you're going to get angry because that's what started. I never called you stupid. I said we were going to check degrees and only people with degrees could talk trash. That's what I said. I said, but you know what I realized? This is the sensitive section.
Right.
So,
okay. So Brother Brown,
okay.
And family, I want you to know this is where your mental health does matter. Many a times, be it on a collegiate level, be it on a professional level, be it on a high school or a junior high level, and I've even seen it with Pop Warner football. Sometimes people just take things a little bit too serious.
Exactly.
It's funny that you say what you said because I want to tie this in and let you hear. I'm going to tell you how I feel about what happened. And I'm going to tell you what I've had happen also. A lot of people who know me locally know that, they know me from where I live, which I live in a place called Lafayette, Louisiana, 5th largest city in the state of Louisiana. Honestly, it's not a very big city. I've lived in much larger cities. I've lived in New York. I've lived in Memphis. I'm from Memphis, number 22, number 1. I've lived in large cities. I've lived overseas in large cities like London, England. I've lived in Paris, France. I've lived in Frankfurt, Germany. But it's kind of connecting to what you're talking about. Here's where people don't understand how mental health is so important, and we got to be careful of the words that come out of our mouth. Now, people who know me, who know what I do, which I have been doing for over 30 years. It ceases to amaze me sometimes when I get around folk in my circle, because everybody in your circle ain't in your corner.
Correct.
You know, today I had a person kind of calmly say and was surprised that Deion Sanders called me out by name. Well,
Called you out?
Yeah, called me out by name. I saw Deion, I pointed at him, and Deion knows me because I did interviews at Jackson State. I'm known in the SWAC community. I'm known for my days of working at ESPN. I've known this man before he was the coach at Jackson State. I know folk. So I had kiddingly said to him long before he was Mr. Popular Man, Deion, this is what we're going to do. He said, what's your name again? I said, Joe Dupree. He said, I've heard your name before, blah, blah, blah. He remembered me. So he said, he pointed at me and said, and I said, Southern came to whoop that tail. And he said, we're going to whoop your tail. I said, well, we'll see you on the field. This is when he was stepping off the game day stage. You know, a person kind of kikied and was like, oh, so Deion knows your name. I wanted to tell that person, bruh, a lot of folk know my name. don't all of a sudden. And then the people that were with me kind of give you that look like you ain't as big as you think you are. Oh, I'm big. I might not be as big as you think I am.
Right. Exactly.
But I'm big.
Exactly.
So sometimes you got to watch folk, even who are your friends, because these people I consider my friends. Your friends sometimes will take slick shots at you to make you feel like you ain't who you say you are.
Yes, sir.
And I wanted to tell them, wait a minute, hold on. Last time I checked, when I was 16 years old, Denise LaSalle, who knew my mother, heard me talking and said, that boy got talent. He need to help we own a radio station. See, a lot of times folk don't want to give you credit for who you are, correct, what you are, and what you have achieved.
Correct.
Now, understand this.
They can take accolades, but they can't give them.
Right, hold on. When you are an AB personality or you are an AB intelligence person, you really in the 1 or the 2 percentile. And sometimes when you're talking to people who are CDF, they think that what you're trying to do is you're trying to tell them I'm smarter than you. No, I'm not saying I'm smarter than you, right, but I am saying I know what I know.
I never called that brother stupid.
Right. Did. But understand this. Many a time, people feel like the job they have, the car they drive, or the degrees hanging up on their wall make them a little bit better than some other folks. Now, that may or may not be true. Because like I said, today when the shots were shot at me, I literally say F you to everybody at my table. I said, I know y'all really don't think I am who I say I am, but F y'all. Because I'm like, the last time I checked, I still got presidential credentials in Chuck Barack Obama's hand. I still have been places, seen things, and did things that you aspire to do. Now, here's the thing. Unlike you, I don't have to drive a Benz, a Beamer. I don't have to live in a particular house or a particular community to be who I am. I understand this. With one penny, I am Joe Dupree.
Exactly.
With $1 million, I'm Joe Dupree. And I'm the same Joe Dupree no matter how the wind blows. See, here's what people really get me with. They don't understand how sometimes when you ponder over how people have talked to you or little slick shots they shot at you, how all of a sudden your mental health is messed up.
Absolutely.
Because then you're sitting there going, well, maybe I ain't who I say I am.
Well,
and people don't get that. See, here's the craziest thing. Once again, let me quantify this, because I might have some friends who were with me this morning that's saying, oh, Joe, you didn't say that this morning. I didn't know that you were kind of a little bit, I wasn't really offended. It just, I know who I'm with. And I'm like, hold up. We can have fun and talk noise to one another, but understand this. I understand sometimes you really not talking noise, you slick shotting me.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's a different,
passive aggressiveness. That's passive aggressiveness.
Right, hold on. It is a difference between us keying and you on the cool trying to slick shot me, because guess what? I know my good, my bad, and my ugly. I know who I am. I know who I am when I'm a shining star, and I know who I am when I'm at my lowest point. And guess what? I have been in this business of media, this business of radio, this business of being out there with folks, I have had some high times and I've had some very low times.
Ooh.
And those low times I'm not ashamed of, because I want to tell some of the folks that slick shot me, if we put all your dirty laundry out there on Main Street, I promise you, a lot of folk wouldn't look at you the same way they're looking at you today. But you can do that with me.
But the point of this whole podcast, though, brother, is why do people do that? Why are we like that?
Okay, let me say this. I always say this, and I posted this, and you know what? Before it was popular. Once again, let me get to y'all. Let me get to some of these folks. I wanted to look at everybody at my table and say, how many of y'all went to a HBCU? How many of y'all got a degree hanging up from an HBCU? Because I was with some people who did not go to Southern or Grambling or to any other HBCU that I know of. But that's okay. And watch this. My undergrad is not from a HBCU. I am actually just like them. My undergrad is from a PWI.
Right.
However,
my master's is from a PWI.
Okay. However, my graduate degree says the Grambling State University, period. And a lot of folk who know me from the G. They remember me when I worked with Coach Eddie Robb, when I worked with Coach Doug Williams. And that's what I really wanted to laugh and tell the dude. Hold on. You looking at me like, why would Deion call me out by name? Last time I checked, I was the media advisor for the Coach Eddie Robinson. I was there when he won the game and helped him with all his media and press when he won the game that beat Bear Bryant's record. Why wouldn't Deion know me? I remember Deion when he came to Grambling and met Coach Robinson.
Exactly.
Hold on. So hold on. Deion now is so-called the staple of HBCU excellence. I applaud Deion for that because he has brought a resurgence. But I do understand why no relationship to the great Eddie Robinson, who is the great coach that has passed away from Grambling State University. I understand why the now coach at Alabama State, Eddie Robinson Jr., once again, that has no relationship at all to the Eddie Robinson from Grambling State, said you ain't SWAC. Because guess what? SWAC did not start. Jackson State did not start when Deion Sanders showed up. I took a picture and posted it with the great Rick Comegee. And Rick Comegee should have had a SWAC championship with Jackson State had his man not stepped out of bounds in Houston against the Southern University Jaguars. So let me tell you something. There's been a lot of great coaches, and I'm very proud of everything Deion's saying and doing. However, let me say this too. We got to really sometimes not take stuff to the extremes. For example,
that's my point. That's it.
Some of those Southern players, when they did the little skit that got back to Deion and to his son, they were out of line. You don't do that. And I'm very glad that Jordan Lewis came with a formal apology and typed it out and put it out there in the Twitterverse or in the internet atmosphere saying, look, it was my bad. Yeah, I did it in the heat of the moment, but it was wrong. And now that I look at it, I realize that shows maturity. That shows maturity. And
I don't know about the skit, but I'll have to look at it later on. So
okay, but that shows where we all should be when it comes down to it. Here's what I want to tell a lot of folks. All you are bandwagon folks. Because the one person who blessed my soul, and I got to find her name, she put a big post out there. She said, for 7 years, I have been a Jackson State. She said, I've been a Jackson State alumni since I got to Jackson State and graduated from Jackson State. But she said, for the last 7 years, I have been at every Jackson State game, win, lose, or draw. And she said, before Deion showed up, we were the laughing stock of the SWAC. She said, and with those 7 years that all you folk now who love us at Jackson State, you really don't love us. You love Deion and the attention he has brought
and
to
Jackson
and Jackson State, and you love winning. So now all of a sudden you are a bandwagon fan of Jackson State because you sure wasn't in the stands for those 7 years when we were the laughing stock of the SWAC.
But as we look at it, and we were talking a second ago, why do we treat one another? Like, for example, I never intended to insult that woman when she tried to insult me, asking me, what did I do with my degree? I just said, I got a couple counseling, you need a job. Her daughter went ballistic, threatened me, cussed me, called me out of my name. And why do we do each other like that? She don't own Jackson State.
Okay, and here's why, Brother Brown. Because secretly, a lot of us are jealous of one another. Secretly, you can do good, you just can't do better than me.
Correct.
Secretly, the reason we cannot progress as a people is because we are too busy being crabs in a bucket. One thing I can say about folks that are non-black or non-African American, I've seen folks who are non-black, non-African American. I have seen white folks hate each other, but work with each other for the greater good of them making the money they need to make together and rise up and be wealthy together. Where black folks, if we don't agree on a potato salad recipe, we won't speak until the day. We won't even go to your funeral. Oh, you know, I don't deal with her. Me and her got into it years ago. What y'all get into it about? She said put 2 eggs into the potato salad. What wrong with her? What? You done literally not spoke to a person because they said put 2 eggs in the potato salad? Come on. We fall out. We hold it. I'm going to say this and I'm going to give you the mic. We fall out with each other for some of the most pettiest bullshit I have ever seen.
That is
some
true.
of the most pettiest.
But
and here's the funny thing. Here's the funny thing. And I'm going to turn the mic over to you because I got to calm down because I'm about to really go in on some folks. Here's the crazy thing.
We need to be upset about this.
You can catch me. You can catch me in a lie, and I'm a liar. You can catch me making a mistake, and you hold that mistake over my head all my life. However, you do the same thing. All of a sudden, you want forgiveness. Oh no, wait a minute, forgive me. You know, we all make mistakes. Wait a minute. So let me get this. When you are judge and jury, crucify them. However, when you are the one being judged and the jury's watching you, please have mercy on me because you know we all sin and fall short of the glories of God. Come on, family, we got to wake up. We got to wake up. This is the reason why people of color right now can't get nothing, can't go nowhere, and can't never rise above where we at. We too busy instead of having each other in real collaboration. We're really every day figuring out the way to be a competition to one another. And I got to be better than you. I got to drive better than you. I got to live better than you. I got to make more money than you. I got to have better connections than you. I got to know more than you. Everything I got to be the top dog. Let me tell you something. If every room I walk in, I'm the top dog, something wrong with me.
Another room.
So, right. I'm in the wrong room. I'm in the wrong room. With that being said, let me turn it back over to Brother Brown. Listen, family, your mental health matters. Just know that.
Yeah. So, you know, and as we're talking about how we do one another, I remember sitting there and I literally did not say another word to this young lady who was cussing me out and calling me all kind of names. And Mr. Angry Man, I decided that I was done talking trash to him too. Once I told him, I said, "Nah, you were mad because you said I called you stupid," which I never did. It never came out of my mouth. I said, "You must feel stupid." I said, "But I'm done talking to you because you feel comfortable enough calling me an asshole and you don't even know me." Right. So we're done. We're done, you and I. Okay. So I leave and I go downstairs to get refreshments. I don't need to tell anyone that was at that game, you know, that the lines for concession was unbelievable.
Right.
So by the time when I left, the score was 0-0. By the time I came back up, the score was 22-0.
Come on.
And when I came up the bleacher, you would have thought a celebrity had came up. Everybody was like, "Oh yeah, where you been? You know?" And I remember saying, because again, I'm Jaguar till I die. Win, lose, or draw, I'm a Jag. So I came up the steps talking as much trash as I left, went down the steps talking when the score was 0-0.
Come on. Hold up. Because you were what? Wait a minute. You were what for life?
I'm a Jag for life.
Okay, so wait a minute. So let me understand this. So you were still believing, because somebody brought this up to me. Somebody said, you really believe they were going to beat Jackson State?
What?
Listen, wait a minute.
Okay.
Everybody Grambling plays, I believe Grambling going to beat them. Now, if Grambling beats them, that's another thing. But as a person who is an alumni of Grambling State University, I believe Grambling going to beat everybody. I even... Right. When the Bayou Classic comes, I tell people, I'm a Gramblinite by heart. I'm a Southernite by paycheck. And guess what? I win either way it goes today.
It's a
I
win-win
win.
situation for
Okay,
me.
so watch this. I believe that the Maryland Terrapins are the baddest cats in basketball, football. Now, everybody know Maryland can't beat nobody out of a paper bag in football. But guess what? Every time you say go Terps, I'm right there with you going go Terps. Because at the end of the day, I believe in the school that I was at, and I believe that we can do it. Now, if we do it, that's another thing. But do I believe? Yes, I believe. And I believe it with all my wholeheartedness. See, that's why I tell some folks, guess what? I couldn't go to war with you because here's the deal. You really ain't a fighter because everything has to be in an optimal. Well, hold it. Everything got to be. Guess what? I ain't scared of Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
I ain't scared of Jackson State. Now, has Grambling beat Deion Sanders? No, they haven't. Has Southern did it? Yeah. Coach Odom's his first year, but everybody say that don't count all of a sudden. But let's call facts facts. Facts is Coach Odom's beat him. That's just like when somebody tried to bring up about Coach Pete Richardson. Coach Pete Richardson is 5-5 with Jackson State, and he's one of the greatest coaches that ever coached at Southern University. He 5-5 with J State. Okay, but still, that's still great numbers to me. At the end of the day, I respect J State. I respect D.I. Love. Absolutely. I know some real people. I know a chick named Tamara that she graduated from J State, was an AD at many other great SWAC schools, and she D.I. Love to the day she died. And even she say it. You know, I hate seeing us lose, but I expect for us to win. You're supposed to do that. You're supposed to do that. I tell a lot of folks, hold on.
So I don't know anybody who go into a stadium to see their school lose.
Right.
Who goes to the stadium?
And I don't care how bad. Listen, Mississippi Valley ain't won a game yet. And everybody, I bet you, if you a Valley alum, if you believe in Valley, if your child play for Valley, you believe in that every game Valley gonna win. Now, if it happens, that's enough. Let me tell you something. The longest losing streak in FCS history is with a SWAC school. Prairie View.
That's right.
Prairie View. And guess what? If somebody at Prairie View still had that for, oh man, you know, we got the longest losing streak in the nation. They don't know more. Because guess what? Every dog has its day.
Every dog.
And even with Deion, I got to respect Deion and I respect Jackson State. But at the end of the day, I ain't scared of you. And I believe we can beat you. Now we got to do what we said we're going to do when we get on the field. And that's the problem with a lot of folks. Your belief, where is your faith? Where's your everything?
That's right.
Exactly. Does everything see? I hate to get biblical on y'all since y'all all want to be so spiritual and high on your high horse going to church every Sunday. But where is your faith? Let me ask you something. If you lost your Mercedes, if you lost your BMW, if you lost that beautiful house, if you lost your husband, if you lost your job, if you lost all your money, then would you still represent for the team that you ride with? Or would all of a sudden you want to be all of a sudden a bandwagon fan and jump to another team? Hold up. Sometimes you got to understand. I got to know who you are when all hell break loose. Because some folk, I can't have you in my destiny, in where God is taking me, if you only gonna be with me when times are good. Because guess what? Bad times are destined to come.
And now you're talking. And are you prepared for it? Or are you jumping ship? When we got there, and again, when I came up the bleachers, I literally walked past the angry folks because they was all trying to talk to me. And I was like, I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you. And I'm not talking to you. And I went and talked to the two guys that I started conversing with when we first got there. And one of the guys looked at me and he said, man, I thought you wasn't coming back. I said, why? When I left, the score was 0-0. When I came up just now, I said, they ain't 22-0. Because if you score 22 in the first half, we can score 23 in the second. So
anything is possible.
You know, at the end of the day, the whole point of all of this for me, and the reason I stopped what I was doing today to come on and not cancel this podcast, because I want to ask my people, is because of a football game, something that you ain't playing, I'm not playing no more. You willing to disrespect me?
Well,
We're willing to disrespect one another for something that we have no control over. We're fans.
Listen, my brother. Listen. Okay. Let me say this. Some folk, I want you to go back, share this with folk. I know some folk probably gonna confront me probably later on in this week or next week and be like, oh man, I'm gonna tell them something. I'm gonna tell them, look, I kind of basically said that to you, but I had since I do have my own platform and I can say it a little bit deeper, I went a little bit deeper. But let me say this to my folk. Right now, y'all need to get out and vote. I can't tell you who to vote for. I can't tell you what to vote for, but you need to get engaged. You need to get involved and you need to go vote, because guess what? The people who you are putting in these offices who make the laws that govern you and I, they're not playing fair. They're trying to end infirm. You talking about HBCUs. Now watch this. Everybody today I was with, most of them graduated from a PWI. They might have degrees from HBCUs. Their kids might have went to a HBCU. Because guess what? I got a child that went to a HBCU. One of my middle son went to a HBCU. My oldest son went to my school. But listen to what I'm about to tell you. They're trying to end affirmative action, just like they did Roe v. Wade. So you better start understanding the relevance of these institutions that were established to educate us, and you got to know the power of your vote, and the power of your voice is in your vote. Listen up, people. We got to wake up. It ceases to amaze me how we will sit here and we will literally vote for folk who don't mean us no good, just because Mr. Charlie is a good man. Miss Jane is a good lady. Well, let me tell you this. If one day Mr. Charlie and Miss Jane and the people we put that we don't vote for and the folk that get put in office bring back slavery, is Mr. Charlie and Miss Jane good when all of a sudden they got you back on the plantation?
We are at a point now where we're talking about not just voting. We're not just talking about how we treat one another. We're talking about the levels of extreme behavior we project towards people who look like us. We are all sitting here grieving the loss of this young brother who's in this rap group, the Migos, all because of a conversation that was being had that somebody felt, well, I'm going to just kill him.
Come on.
And the reason that I came on here, in spite of me not feeling like it, was because I went to the Jackson State football game, started talking trash, and somebody got mad enough at me to cuss me, call me. What if they had gotten mad enough to shoot me?
Oh.
You would be having this podcast saying, we got a brother who has done nothing but try to help folks, has his vice of football. He loves football, be it the Saints or the Jags, or, and his life was taken because of trash talking.
Come on. And that's where we need to wake up.
That's
where we need to wake up.
Mm-hmm. We taking people's lives. This girl told my boy, yeah, he better be glad my brother wasn't here. Wow. What you think your brother would have done? At the end of the day, when I refuse to engage them on that toxic level, and because we're wrapping up, this hour flew by. Mr. Angry Man and her continued to try to talk to me. Now keep in mind, I'm talking to all of the rest of the people. We still talking trash, but nobody's disrespecting anybody. These two, I said, uh-oh. I said, man, yeah, what y'all gonna do on 4th down? I didn't even turn around and say nothing to him. I kept on talking. I had dropped the napkins in the rain. She gonna say, you want to use this towel? I was shocked. I said, no, I'm good. You can have it. You can have it.
But that's the point, though, because some folk got to have the final word. Really, what we need to wake up. We all, including myself,
each other, Joe.
We need to look in the mirror, right? With the Migos, you got to look with Takeoff. Listen, you got to understand something. that young 28-year-old man will no longer exist on this plane of existence.
Correct.
Because of an argument and supposedly a dice game. Wow. You know, come on, family. This is serious. And it's not only happening, it's happening, and we're talking about him because he is a celebrity. But the same thing is happening to people who are not celebrities. Absolutely. We are literally killing one another every day in some shape, form, or fashion. You know, and it saddens me. And just like I posted not too many days ago, man, black folks, stop telling me what these white folks are doing to us. Half of us don't like us. Half of us don't support us. And most of us are trying to take each one of us out.
Correct. And that's the part that's bothering me. The thing is that they were angry, and we are doing this whole podcast because what we're talking about is a mental health issue. This woman was angry enough to cuss out a complete stranger.
Not knowing how you might respond. Hold on. Wait. It was a double-edged sword here. You did what you did, and then she responded, but she not knowing how you might respond.
Exactly.
Hold on. Not knowing who you was.
Exactly.
Hold it. Just because you don't know my face. Let me hit this. This might be good for my people who tried to throw the shots today. Just because you don't know my face, or you might think you know me, you might really not know me, or know who I know, or know what I know. Come on, man. We got to stop making these assumptions that all of a sudden, because we are who we are, everybody good and cool with us. Because let me tell you something. When you go to higher levels, there come higher devils. I'm telling y'all really need to wake up and realize this, that we as a people need to really start celebrating each other at levels of excellence and say, just because, guess what? I celebrate Coach Deion Sanders. No, I don't want to see Jackson State win. No, I do not like Jackson State, but I celebrate the Jackson State Tigers and their undefeated season thus far, and Coach Deion Sanders and the resurgence that he has brought back to HBCU life, HBCU football, and to the city of Jackson.
Recognition.
And to Jackson and Jackson State. I am very proud of that. And
Absolutely.
I hope that spreads like wildfire to Mississippi Valley, to Pine Bluff, Arkansas, to Alabama A&M, to Alabama State, to Bethune-Cookman, to FAMU, to Grambling, to Texas Southern, to Prairie View. I want everybody black to win. I want Tennessee State to win. I want Langston to win. I want Lane College to win. I want Fisk University to win. I want every doctor that graduated from Meharry, that's an all-black medical school that half the people on here probably don't even know about. Jump up right now and say, talk to him, brother. I want everybody black to win.
That's right. And look, that's what Tiffany Haddish said. Who you rooting for? Everything black.
That's it.
Everything black. My thing is, you guys, we have to get to the point where we have to learn how to control ourselves. My brother Joe is passionate, and you see it come through this podcast. But at the end of the day, we are killing each other because we don't know how to control our anger, the dislike that we have in any situation. She was so taken when I said, you know what? I could call you a bitch or a whore, but I'm not going to do that. You have no class, and I'm done. Now, here's one of the most, this is the part that I wanted to end this whole story on. When I came back up and I refused to acknowledge that they were even in this stadium. The two guys that we were having fun talking trash with, the three of us were still talking trash. And one of the guys looked at me when I was about to leave. He said, hey, man, you going to Birmingham? I said, what you mean? He said, well, you know, this is the last year they're talking about having it in Memorial Stadium. They're going to move this game to Birmingham.
That's right. That's right.
I said, yeah, I'll probably, take a road trip out there. And he looked at me and he said, I'm going to look for you, man. I had a great time today.
Right.
And I kind of turned and I looked at him, and he leaned down and he said, my wife really appreciated the way you handled that situation with that young lady.
Right. Right.
You didn't call her out her name. You ain't cuss her, nothing.
Hey,
I was like,
brother,
he said, man,
listen.
y'all have a safe trip back to Jackson. And I felt good about the way I handled it. And I felt bad for that young lady who tried to make amends by offering me a towel. What you should have said was, sir, I apologize for calling you or saying you know, F you or whatever. I apologize.
Okay.
That's what she should have said.
So let me be a brother to you, Brother Edward. Most of the time you counsel me.
Come on.
But this was gonna be a time I'm gonna counsel you.
All right.
I had to learn that with my mother, who discarded me as a baby. And it took her death and a counseling session for a counselor to show me something that I'm going to give to you right now, because I feel like you need it. You right.
I do.
Instead of the lady offering you a towel, she should have said, sir, you know, I know we were just talking, we were just jonesing with each other, and I took it kind of personal. You said some stuff that kind of hit some heartstrings on me, but I know you really didn't mean no ill intent, and I shouldn't have called you out your name the way I did. But she didn't, because her process thinking said, let me offer this brother a towel and we good.
And it was a white towel.
Okay.
And it was a white
towel. So I know that feeling, because, mind you, after I went through this painful journey of finding out that I was adopted, to finding out not only was I adopted, but I was discarded as a baby and almost died. When I went through this painful journey and finally found my biological mother, she completely denied everything. Even when the TV cameras rolled up and the people rolled up and everybody said, you know, this is your child, boom, boom, she denied it. She did not even want to see me when my own father took me over to her house and knocked on the door and said, look, I got your son out here. You need to make this right. But 2 weeks before she died, she called me and asked me, did I eat? Listen to me, brother. I was hotter than cayenne pepper.
That was powerful.
But I played the game with her. But it took 3 years after her death for a counselor to bring up to me, your mother apologized to you. You just wasn't prepared to accept the apology because it didn't come the way you wanted.
The way she gave it. That's right.
Right. The way she gave it. He said, you should just know that that was her way of saying,
I'm sorry.
I can't say I'm sorry because I'm just not built like that. But let me say this. She called me and I asked her, I said, now I got an older brother that's a year older than me. And I had a younger brother that was a year younger than me, but he passed away some years ago. He was a law enforcement officer in Memphis. I call him Mike Lowry. Lord have mercy. But here was the wild thing. My mother, I asked her, I said, do you know who you're talking to? And she said, yeah, this is Joey. I said, okay. I said, we're going to play this game. I said, I ate. I'm fine. How are you? And she said, well, I'm doing fine. I ain't been feeling good lately. I said, well, I don't want you feeling bad. But guess what? I finally got the chance to throw in what I needed to throw in to lift the burden off my heart. She asked me, she said, well, before I let you go, make sure you eat now and tell the grandkids I said I love them. I said, you know what I need you to do? I said, I don't need you to get this right with me. I said, I need you to get this right with the man upstairs.
That's right.
Because I said, when I cross River Jordan, I can't go through not seeing my biological mother again. I said, when I get to the other side, me and you got to laugh, joke, and giggle about some stuff. I said, so you ain't got to get it right with me. I said, but just get it right with the other man. And then when it finally hit me 3 years later, after she had passed away, I had to literally go to her place where she was buried. And I apologized because I said, you were trying to.
You wasn't ready.
I wanted it a certain way. And see, that's the way that's the mistake we make with a lot of folk. Folk are always trying to make amends and make it right. But sometimes we so caught up on our own high horse that we don't want it the way that they give it. We want it the way we want it because we feel we would have won offended. But watch this. When the tables are turned, we the first one to tell folks, well, I tried to make amends. They just didn't. So sometimes you got to remember the same stuff you dish out, be sometimes the same stuff you get
come
served.
around. That's
The
right.
same stuff you get served. So we just got to do better as a people. Right now, I'm going to turn this back over to him for the next 8 minutes, but I want to say this to everybody watching. Listen, it is times like this, family, we got to unite. If not, the next George Floyd is coming. The next Emmett Till is coming. The next Tulsa is coming. Because if we as a people don't make some hard corrections and begin to get ourselves together as a people, history will repeat itself with us. And guess what? Even though we had a king and we had an ex, we saw what happened to him. And guess what? The next king and ex, it will happen to them too, because we got to wake up. As they said, and do the right thing. We got to wake up.
Wake up. Yeah.
Brother Edward Brown.
So from a clinical perspective, I wanted to kind of talk about what we call causality. There are going to be things in life that's going to make you angry. There's going to be things in life that's going to make you mad. I say it every day. You have the choice of how you respond. I remember back in the day when brothers get their shoes stepped on, somebody was shooting. I'm like, do you believe that is an appropriate response to having your shoes stepped on? I told everyone watching this podcast exactly how that situation happened. That woman asked me, what you got those degrees, but what you doing with them? I said, well, I got a couple of counseling agencies. You need a job. That's exactly how it happened. Now, if anybody's watching this podcast that believe I asked the 60-year-old woman, you want a job, is the reason for me to get cussed out, call and let me know. I want to know. Yes, you deserve to be cussed out. But I don't think anyone will do that. There was no reason for that young lady to take it to that level. They were angry about something else. And it manifested itself and it trickled down into outright rage. They were angry because I hit a nerve when I said, do you have a degree? That maybe wasn't. Now, I laughed when I was riding because, as you guys know, this game was Saturday. Today's Wednesday. So you obviously know how this has been on my mind. Among, some whole lot of other things is going on. But you know what? I just laughed. I said, because I'm a trash talker. Because if I did not have a degree from Southern University, you know what I would have said? Nah, I don't have no degree, but I don't need a degree to know that that's an ass whipping. Nothing. That's an ass whipping. I don't need a degree for that. That's how I
can add that up.
Yeah, exactly. I can add 22 to nothing. 22 is better. That's how I would have handled that. But instead, it was a touchy subject. And Todd told me that sitting at the table that day. He said, that's an issue for a lot of people at these HBCUs. There's so many people who they paint their house black and gold for Grambling. They paint their house for Southern and never took a class at Southern. That's okay. That's not something to be ashamed of. So why did it make these people so angry? So I challenge everybody to know your triggers. Those were obviously triggers for those three people. The concept of me saying, well, you can't talk trash if you don't have a degree from this school. Oh my God, he calling us stupid. I never said you were stupid, my brother. I would never do that. You sitting there popping the middle finger at me, I would never call you out of your name, even though you feel comfortable enough to do that with me. I could be an absolute mad lunatic and shoot up that whole stadium. But I didn't. And at the end of the day, for the people around to say, man, the way you handled that was real cool. And then you literally stopped talking to them because they kept trying to participate in the trash talk. I was like, nah, this is the sensitive section. I can't talk to them over there. They're too sensitive. So I want us to understand in life, you need to know your triggers.
Right.
Know what those things are that push your button. Know what those things are that put you in the red when it comes to your anger. And then you stay away from that. Or you start to acknowledge it and you address it and you defeat it.
Right.
That's what you do.
Right. You either gonna have to beat the dragon or you're gonna have to do like my mama used to say, baby, if it's too hot, stay out the kitchen.
Stay out the kitchen.
Stay out the kitchen. Stay in the living room where the air conditioner at. Because if you coming in here, it's hot in here. It's hot in here. You're gonna sweat. Yep. You're gonna be uncomfortable.
The oven on, all the burners on.
Right. And guess what? I ain't gonna stop cooking because you uncomfortable. Right. See, that's what the people didn't get. See, you can't shoot shots, and then when you shot back at, and the shots that was shot back at you was better than the shots that you shot across the line. You can't all of a sudden now call a foul. No. It wasn't a foul when you shot. Right. So it can't be a foul when I shoot back. Just sometimes you got to say to yourself, guess what? I wouldn't go talk about Cat Williams because I ain't gonna win that one. Yeah. Cat Williams gonna roast me. Sometimes you got to know the fight you getting into might not be a fight you can win. But guess what? Doesn't mean that you might not go into it believing that you're gonna win. But guess what? We went into it thinking, I went into it believing that, man, Southern can beat Jackson State.
Absolutely.
I still believe Southern can beat Jackson State.
Absolutely.
With Deion as coach and with Shedeur as the quarterback. Listen. I believe we can beat that team. But guess what? Until we beat them, all I'm doing is having some wishful thinking.
Now, I told you, brothers, Southern is the best team Jackson State has played this year. Jackson State is the best team Southern has played this year. That first quarter, Jackson State had 2 4th downs. They went for it on. The defense came up big. There was no score in the first quarter. Everybody was playing their game plan. At the second quarter, Jackson State giving all the credit in the world to their coaching staff. They made adjustments. What we were doing in the first quarter, Jackson State said, we can't keep doing what we're doing because it ain't working. Let's change some things. And they did. We did not make any adjustments going into the second quarter, third quarter, and the fourth quarter. That's why they won. The first quarter showed we're equally matched on the playing field. But on the sidelines, we're not. Right. That's what that game showed.
Right. Now, let me switch gears here. I just read something. I need to fact check this, but I'm going to say it if it is true. It says Takeoff, which is the young man from the Migos who was tragically lost his life in Houston, gained almost 1 million followers after his passing. Family, we got to stop that. See, listen. If you can't support me while I'm breathing, don't all of a sudden be all about me after I'm gone. Well, see, that's our problem. We you have people who literally, and once again, I saw something on Facebook where it showed support 0, but it showed congratulations 2,500,000. Guess what? Support me, and I'll hold it. And even if you don't support me, I will support you. It's not a tit for tat thing, but family, we got to do better.
But Bob Marley, Tupac, and Biggie made way more money after they died than they did while they were alive. Bob Marley, Tupac, and Elvis Presley.
Right. Look, family, we just got to wake up because we keep asking ourselves what's wrong with us. And sometimes you need to look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself this hard question. Am I the reason the black race is not getting anywhere?
Hey.
Come on. I challenge everybody. That's my challenge. We got 2 minutes left on this podcast. Before I turn it over to my man, I challenge everybody watching this podcast, look yourself in the mirror and say, am I one of the reasons we not making it? Am I one of the reasons that we not getting nowhere? I mean, and I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are, what you do, supposedly what title you got, how many black folks you belong, you done help, how many organizations you belong to, sororities, fraternities, Masonic. I could care less. Look yourself in the good mirror and ask yourself, am I one of the reasons we ain't getting nowhere?
Mm-hmm.
And if that answer comes back not to your liking, begin to make the adjustments. That next time you look yourself in the mirror, the response will be, no, you're not. You are really about one of the folks that's getting us to where we need to get to. Brother Edward Brown, close us out, man. It's on you.
I think that we need to, as an individual, look inside yourself, find out what your triggers are, find out what are those things that push your button, address them, defeat them, so that they no longer have that power over you. That's what you need to do in order to, when someone says that thing that used to make your blood boil, now it just makes you say, I need to get away from this person. That's all. Doesn't make my blood boil, but I'm not going to come here and let you continue to push my buttons. Know thyself. That is what I want everyone to do and take away from this conversation. I knew myself well enough to know I was not going to let that young lady and that man push me to a place that I didn't want to go. So keep in mind, know your triggers and know thyself. So if nobody else told you today, you know what we always say every week. We love you. We'll see you next week.